All right, y'all. So, welcome to the first episode of Eff Dat Job. It's a platform to air out your workplace grievances, past and present. This is the show about shitty jobs, the people who hate them, and the people who escape them. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Chad.
I'm Rahsaan, and we're gonna share a little bit of our personal stories, and then going forward, we want to hear some of y'all things and have discussions about how we can talk about our jobs and talk about our past experiences on jobs and what we can do to kind of make it a little bit more pleasant for ourselves and what we can do to escape them in the future.
Yeah, exactly. So we came together. Rahsaan came to me with this idea, and immediately I thought this was the most brilliant shit ever, because everybody has been in a situation where they done thought to themselves, yo, fuck this job, I don't need this. Everybody has been in that situation. They might not, I don't know if everybody's seen Everybody Hates Chris, but Chris's mom, where she's like, I don't need this shit, my husband got 2 jobs. Like, I know some of us don't wish we had a spouse with 2 jobs so we could just bounce up out of a job, but yeah, so we really wanted to, shine light on the worker. Like everybody, Dame said you should be a boss, but shit, a lot of us ain't bosses. A lot of us is workers, and some of us is in situations that we don't want to be in. Some of us got out of situations that we didn't want to be in to get to a better place, and we want to hear all of those stories from y'all.
Right, and some of us found ways to just cope in that situation that we've been in. One thing is like a misperception that a lot of people have is like, everyone isn't a boss, you know what I mean? Like everybody, and it's not a bad thing to be a worker because somebody has to do the work. Even if you're a boss, you're still working in some line, like some line of order, like you're still actually working. Because if you're on a restaurant, you working to like serve the people, right?
Yeah.
So you're still working for the people. So everybody, I know that's a big thing. It's like, oh, I want to be a boss. I'm a boss. I ain't a worker. But we all working.
Yeah.
And if you're working, that makes you a worker.
Yeah, and I think that's so one thing that we want to do in the future here is we want to kind of highlight some of the people who have stepped out of that worker role into the boss role. But I think what the big misconception of what you was highlighting, what you was hinting on, is the fact that just because you're stepping into that boss role don't mean that you're not working no more. Like, you probably working twice as hard as you was working before, but now you got that freedom. And that's the thing we want to highlight. We want to highlight just a stress-free work experience, because everybody has to work in one way or another. Like, it's not very many of us. I know, like, the media probably try to make it seem like it's a lot of people out here just living off of unemployment and welfare and stuff right now, especially during, like, this COVID time that we're in. But, it's a lot of people out here working, and, if we're going to be working, let's make sure that we're not being taken advantage of by these corporations that we're working for. And that we happy. It's hard to, go wake up every morning and clock into some shit that you just do not like. And I know it's a lot of us out there like that. Just going in there, dragging our feet half dead like a zombie, walking into a job and just.
But you got to find a way to make that. You have to find a way to make that job work for you.
Exactly.
So like you're working the job, but you also got to find a way to make that job has to work for you also, because just the same way that job or that company may be using you as an employee to get something done, you have to use that job as a point of how to, get what you're trying to get done. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that's important.
All right, so hold on a second. We need to take a break, or is it?
No, I have it said 5 minutes left, but it's counting down from 24, so.
Okay. No, so we good to keep going. We good.
So you want to start off with a story about a job that you were in and you found your way out of?
I mean, I think you got you got a couple good ones. You got some good experiences. You got some good prior work history with some places.
I don't know how much time we got. We got a little bit of time.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time. Let's get into one of yours.
All right, yeah. So I can think of a job that I worked.
And wait, before you get started, I just want to say we're not gonna, when we telling stories here and when we have viewers call in and tell their stories, we want to be able to keep things as tight and cleaned up as possible. So we're not trying to we're not trying to completely shit on none of our. I mean, even though we are through telling these stories, shitting on some of these places, but we're gonna, names are gonna be changed and omitted, and just to protect the people ourselves and the other people still left at those places
Right.
that we used to work at. So
I don't even want to look at it as shitting on them.
yeah,
I just want to look at it as just like, for some people, you know what I mean? Like, for some people, it's like, I told you some of the stories about things that was happening at jobs or whatever, but I don't think I was using it to even shit on it. It's just like, sometimes it's just that release.
Yeah.
Like, so it just might be kind of like a little therapy. So this, I want to look at this as kind of like a thing is, you can get your story out, get out what you got to say about it, whatever.
Vent
like
a
that,
little
and now
bit.
you can just go ahead and move on with your,
day. You can vent a little bit.
Right. And, so yeah, let me get into one of mine, man. I think I worked this one job. I think I started about 10 years ago.
Right.
I was doing contract security. And so I was doing a contract security, and with that, man, they were just sending me to different places and different places throughout the city, throughout the whole, just the whole region of Rochester area. And I think that different places, and I had different experiences in those. And then I got sent to one place where there was a lot of people, and your interactions with so many people a day. It went from being like a security guard, working and maybe like in a booth or something like that. And you're working in a booth, and then it's like, you only interact with maybe like 10 people a day because you maybe at a construction site or something like that, right? And then I went to work in
a government building.
In a building
Government,
that was like where I was working, and I would interact with maybe a few hundred to a couple thousand people a day. And that was at first, like, I definitely found it being very entertaining to me in the beginning. But from there, it's just like, man, after the entertainment and then just the repetition every day, it turned into something that I just resented, man. Yeah. I remember, being a security guard, you got to do searches, and you got to look through all type of stuff, and people would come into the building, and you got to search their bags and stuff like that. And I will never forget this one, man. This dude came in with like this army bag. Like, you ever see the big army
the big
bag?
duffel, the canvas
duffel
bag?
Yeah, the big duffel bag. Dude came in with the army bag. Man, you got to go through the whole bag. The bag was filled. So he had a bunch of clothes, dirty clothes and stuff. And he got food in there. And at the bottom, this motherfucker had a desktop computer. He had a desktop computer with a monitor, all the cords and everything. And I'm just like,
in the bottom of a duffel bag.
In the bottom of a duffel bag. So I'm just like, this motherfucker gonna plug it up and just like use the internet or something like that. Like it was gonna be like, I'm like, I never seen somebody carrying around a computer before.
But just chilling with it in the duffel bag, like it's nothing but clothes in there, just like.
Yo, it was at the bottom of the bag. So I'm like, man, I don't know, maybe he was moving around somewhere. And, he could have been, in a situation where he could have been homeless or something like that. I'm not sure, man, but I just didn't, I've never seen somebody just walking around with a computer. And them things was heavy, you know what I mean? This wasn't a laptop. We talking maybe about 7-8 years ago this was, and to me it was just like comical. And so like things like that, and we would have got to search through the whole bag, and then they want you to put it back in the bag the same way that you got it out. And it's like, this dude probably spent a while packing his bag up together, and now I got to put it back in the bag. And if I don't put it back in the bag the same way, now I got an issue with him, and that's gonna make my day longer. So things like that. But then you get things like that, and it's kind of funny to you, and you got things where it's kind of disgusting to you. So I had another person come in, and they had a bunch of stuff, and they had a folder. It was like, it's a regular folder. It's just going to be paperwork in there that you probably need for whatever you got going on, whatever business you're handling. Go through, and you got to wear gloves. Make sure you wear gloves, so you go through, open the folder up, make sure there's a razor blade in there. I kid you not, open the folder, and like 6 or 7 roaches crawled out of the like 6 or 7 roaches crawled out of the folder. And I'm just like, and I just jump back like, yo, like, you know, whatever, like that. And it's like, but you don't want to offend people, you know?
Nah, fuck that.
But
You got roaches crawling out of a folder. Like, I'm about to react however I react.
I didn't understand, like, but they was like, I don't know, because like when you put the folder in there, like, you know, it's a folder, like, yo, it's just like a regular folder, but you open it up and then they crawled out. So I'm like, yo, did they? I don't know, man. I didn't understand that, but that was something that was disgusting to me. And like, you know, like all day now I'm thinking like every time I see a folder, it's gonna be like, yo, a roach gonna crawl out, or like I'm thinking now I got roaches on me, and you know what I mean.
Worrying about taking that shit home and.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
That
So-
was something that was like crazy.
So was that the first time you ever was like, yo, fuck this job, I don't like, I can't deal with this shit?
Was that the first time?
Or was that like one of the major times when you was like, yo, fuck this?
I think that was still maybe in the
Still in like the
entertainment phase.
entertainment phase, yeah.
The first time I said fuck this job, there was a guy that came in, and I'm doing the search, and I called him up to the next, you know, he was the next person, say, you know, come on up, sir. He didn't want to be searched at all. And I'm like, well, you know, this is kind of like the, you know, this is what we got to do, man. Like, you know, and he did not want to do it at all. And he got real tough with me. And then, like, you know, he was like, oh, motherfucker, what you gonna do about it? So I moved the fucking table. I'm like, well, what you want to do about it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and me at that age, man, I was like, man, I don't want to date myself on the show, but you know, I was young, you know, I was still young, like young dude, like, you know, I'm like, what I'm gonna do about it? I moved the table out the way, like, what you want to do about it? Coworkers came, got in between everybody, whatever like that, and that's when I said, man, this is what I'm gonna be dealing with, man. Fuck this job. I don't know, I'm not about to deal with this. Like, I'm gonna do this shit.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, that happened in my first 6 months there, and I stayed there at that job another 6.5 years after that.
See, I worked for the same contract security company. When I first, so I went to school in Pennsylvania, lived there for a couple years, moved back to Rochester. Couldn't find a job. I was trying to find a job in fitness, couldn't find a job in fitness, and so my cousin was working for the same company, and I'm like, how much you making? I'm making, I think he was making like 14 or 15 or something like that. So I'm like, oh, bet, like I could, 14, 15, like that's decent. So I apply, not thinking that like, oh, it's 14 or 15 for this assignment for the place.
Yeah.
So they assigned me to a building downtown, a building where, I'm not gonna say the name of the building, 'cause I don't know if the same people own it, but there's now like, it used to be connected to Midtown when Midtown was around.
Okay, yeah.
But now they got like food and stuff in there. It used to, like way back in the day, it used to be a mall. And when I was working there, it was also the community college was in there. The downtown campus of community college was in there. So if you're from Rochester, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I worked the overnights. And on the overnights, the building is completely empty. You come in, you got to do your rounds. Usually like the part of the building where the community college is one part of the rounds, the basement is one part, and then the tower is another part. So I used to like to do the tower because it was easy. You just go all the way up to the top, you hit all your points. You know, you had like a little like iPad looking thing, and this little like barcodes on the wall. You just scan your barcodes, you walk all the way around, and then you walk all the way around each floor and just circle your way all the way back down until you get to the office. It's easy. So this is like, I'd already been working there maybe like a year or so. And I'm like, maybe not even a year, maybe like 9 months. And I'm like, it's easy at this point. Like, you know, I don't like working overnights and mess up my sleep schedule, but it's whatever. So I go to do the tower. I'm working with this girl, and she's annoying as hell. So I'm like, I used to take my time doing my rounds. So I go up in the tower, take the elevator all the way to the top floor. And on the top floor, you know, you're doing these rounds in this building over and over again. You know, like, this door has been closed, you know, for whatever amount of time, like it's always closed. You know that none of these windows up here open up. So I'm walking, I get off the elevator, I turn the corner, I hit my first spot, I look, and I see a door that's always closed is like cracked open. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, what the fuck, somebody been up here doing something? So I like start walking towards the door, and then all of a sudden the door just slammed closed. And I stopped. And I'm like, yo, maybe the wind blew it closed. And I'm like, wait, hold on. The windows don't open up here. So I turned my ass around. I went to the stairs, and I ran my ass all the way down them stairs.
I was hoping you ain't go investigate this shit.
Got back to the office out of breath and sweaty. And the girl was like, you're done already? I'm like, hell yeah. She was like, well, what happened? It seems like something happened. I'm like, yeah, something happened. She's like, well, what happened? I'm like, I'm not telling you because I'm not trying to sound crazy.
Right.
But I'm not doing the rounds up there no more. She was like, well, I already did the rounds in the basement, like, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care. Like, they just not gonna, if you're not gonna do them, they not gonna get done because I'm not doing them no more, and fuck this job. And that was the first time I was like, yo, fuck this job.
How many times in your professional work career, how old were you when you first started working? How old were you?
I didn't have my first real job until I was 19 in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how many times do you think you've said, fuck this job or fuck that job, I'm not doing this shit no more?
Had to have been like, I don't know, man. Like, when I first started out, I was working jobs that it was easy jobs. I worked like the weight room in college. I played football. I worked in the weight room. I had another job at another gym that was like 45 minutes away. That's easy stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it was like no reason to say fuck this job. After that, I worked for a friend on a football team. His father, this is probably one of the best jobs I ever had. I worked, he had a company, a contracting company. I worked for him. No reason to say fuck this job. It wasn't until I moved back to Rochester and had that job was the first time. And since then, it's been a snowball effect. Like, every single job after that, like, shit, maybe 2 times a week I might say fuck this job. Just start a job, brand new, man. Fuck this, man.
Yeah, well, for me, it's crazy because I may have said that a lot of times, but I haven't been able to say that about a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of jobs I did in the beginning, my very first job was like cutting grass for like one of my dad's professors or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 12 years old, so I was like, 11, 12 years old. So that was cool. I was introduced to like, just getting, doing something to get money.
Yeah.
That was getting money to me, you know what I mean? Cutting the lawn, $10 for cutting the lawn.
Yeah.
But he had a bunch of houses around the city. So from there, like, I worked summer camps from the time I was 14 all the way up to 18, and my first like real like I guess that would be my first real job, and I never hated that at all. Like, that was great because all I did was just hoop with kids most of the time, and then like my first real job where I was like on a payroll and all of that, I worked at a store. When I was in high school, I worked at a store, and I never said that with that job. So I guess it was really just, it's only been, maybe one place or one job, but I said the shit so many times. And now it just feels like that all that time that I spent there seems like just a blur to me, because it all seems like one long day. It doesn't even seem like that many years. It seems like just one long day. But
Because it was how many years again?
7.
7 years.
7. But since then, I really, I've been disgruntled about things, but I've never actually like hated a job.
Yeah.
I never hated a job. I mean, what I do now, like, outside of this podcast, what I do now is like, I love it. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. Got its moments.
Yeah.
But,
And every job does have its moments.
Yeah.
So,
but
I think,
overall, it's like, no, I don't. You know what I mean? And but the one thing definitely about this show that I want to get across, and I've been thinking about it. It's like, yo, fuck that job. Don't let that job fuck you. Like you need to.
Yeah.
You need to
stand up for yourself.
Yeah. You need to F that job. don't let it F you. You need to use that as a vehicle to get where you need to get, to do what you want to do and accomplish the things that you want to do in life. And that's the way I approach it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna. I create a plan, and every time you start a business, or every time you start anything, every time you go into a job or you start anything, you gotta have an exit plan. I always have an exit plan every time I go into something now, because I cannot
get caught up.
Can't get caught up, and I can't get complacent and just be stuck. You know,
Yeah.
getting stuck to me.
Stuck in that cycle of just like waking up every morning, going into some shit that you don't enjoy, and like hating it, and just like letting that shit eat you up. I've legit seen people like over the years who like a job just makes them depressed, like just straight up puts them into like clinical depression, like can't, to the point where like they can't wake up and get up to go to work no more because this job stresses them out so much. But like they don't know what else to do because they're making good money at the job. And it's like, well, what I'm gonna do? I got benefits, I got this, you know? But like
Benefits.
But it's like,
man, that 7 years, man, I had none of that. I work full time, had no benefits. I have no. I took one vacation, and that was just me having the weekends off, and then I took 2 extra days. I took a Monday and Tuesday off also. I hadn't had a vacation, like. Nah, man, no, there was no benefits, no sick time. You don't come to work, you don't get paid. Like.
So, I think. I think what we need to make sure that we letting people know here is like you saying, like, F that job. Don't let that job F you. Like going to like Players Club. Like make that money. Don't let that money make you.
Word.
Like you can't let it take advantage of you. Like you can't. You got to think about your mental health first. You got to think about your health first. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody done seen that meme out there about like, what is it? You know, don't put too much effort into a job because the job listing is gonna be in the newspaper before your obituary is gonna be in the newspaper. You know, there's some truth. I'm pretty sure there's some truth and some validity to that. Like, at the end of the day, we working for these corporations, for these businesses, and that they really only care about their bottom line. Like they're gonna. At the end of the day, they don't really care what you got going on in your life. They're going to lay your ass off if they need to lay you off to save some money. So that's our first episode. We both shared, you know, when we first start, you know, the idea of, man, fuck this job. Like, I don't need this shit. First came into play for us. But what we want from y'all, the viewers, is to go on to Facebook or Instagram and follow us, Twitter, follow us, Eff Dat Job, EFFDATJOB. Find us on there, especially on our Facebook page, because our Facebook page is where our viewers can come together, our community can come together and support each other, to vent about our jobs. And it's also where we want to know when was the first time you said Eff Dat Job. So there'll be a post on our Facebook page. Just comment on that post. We're going to take the best comments, the funniest, the most heartwarming, the best stories, whatever it is, and we're going to ask you guys to call in those best stories. Call in and tell your story on the show, whether that's through Zoom or a voice call.
And just call in, like, you know, tell the story, man, get it off your chest, and, you know, like you said, if you got something that's heartwarming, or you got something that's probably just crazy, you got something that's funny, you got something that may be, you know, may be touching, or something that just motivated you to get into the position that you're in now, or move in the direction that you're going in right now. So, make sure you reach out on all of those platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah, join that
EFFDATJOB.
Yep, follow that Facebook page, find that Facebook page, and you know, interact with us. Just get on there, comment on that post. Let us know when was the first time you ever said F that job. And then remember to like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, subscribe to us on all of the you know, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of that stuff.
Share it everywhere.
Share it with your friends.
Share it with your friends.
Yep.
All of that. And F with us.
Yeah, that for us. Thank you.
All right.